sure to tune in to At Home with Christ Ministry with Julie Thomas, broadcasting Monday nights at 8 p.m. live on licmc.net, radio, Facebook, and YouTube.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the At Home with Christ podcast. So we have been talking about a man sitting in his car looking for a ticket. But now the story changes because this man now sitting in his car looking for his ticket is now looking in the mirror at a man named Jesus Christ who was talking to them. And the man in his car has to decide, like you or I, will he harm somebody? Is this person really? And the significance of this is, can we break bread with this person? Can you break bread with this person? And that's why it is so important for you to understand what is the meaning of learning to break bread with somebody. Because first of all, before you could learn to break bread with somebody, you have to decide, is this person really your enemy? Did this person really hurt you? And we have to look at these factors. So, Psalm 23 says that David wrote, God has prepared a table before my enemies. So you have to know, like I have to know, God has prepared that table before our enemies. While we know that these enemies are out to get us, maybe, we need to know more about them. We need to know that, is this person trying to destroy us? Do they really want to harm us? And what did we do that is so bad that would cause someone to want to harm us? So now the man sitting in his car listening to the man in the mirror, who's Jesus, talking to him about loving and forgiving our enemies, has to deal with this hard lesson. Yes, it is a hard lesson to learn to forgive, and it is a hard lesson to love your enemies. But that is what Jesus wants us to do. And he says this in Matthew 5:22. We are to love who, people? We are to love our enemies, no matter what. So if someone has harmed you and done wrong to you, then we still must we still must learn to love them. And in Jesus' message and God's message, God has prepared a table before our enemies. You must ask yourself, what does that mean to you? What does that message say to you? When we say to ourselves, God has prepared a table before our enemies, what does it really mean? And I want you to answer that question. I want you to answer the question, what does it mean when you hear the words, God has prepared a table? One, he will prepare the table. And two, he will turn the tables. So what does it mean when he prepares the table and he turns the table? What does it mean that God has prepared the table before your enemy, and now he is turning the tables? But we know that our enemy is someone who doesn't like us, who wants to harm us. But what else does it mean? What else could it possibly mean when you say God has prepared a table before your enemies? Now, this man sitting in his car, listening to his radio, listening to Jesus Christ talk to him and minister to him about forgiveness, has to decide, is the man standing in the door really his enemy? Because we know that the enemy is really Satan. And Satan is not really going to come and sit at the table with us, but Satan will look for opportunities to destroy us. And that is what we have to realize, people, that the people that we think are enemies aren't really our enemies. They may have hurt us, and we are just taking it and reacting to it the wrong way. And that's why the Psalm 23, where David wrote, God has prepared a table before my enemies, is so important for us all to read, because there's an important lesson in that. Important lesson for us to learn the difference between a real enemy and someone you think is your enemy. Someone you think is your enemy isn't really your enemy, because your real enemy is really Satan. And Satan will use people in our lives to do wrong things against us, and then turn them against us, you and I. But we have to know that we have to be on guard. And until next time, we will finish our lesson. And I want you to think about what you just said. Has God prepared a table before your enemies? Who are your enemies? Do you really have an enemy? And thank you.
Be sure to tune in to At Home with Christ Ministry with Julie Thomas, broadcasting Monday nights at 8 p.m. live on licmc.net, radio, Facebook, and YouTube.
Hello, I am Julie Thomas, and the name of my podcast is it's a Well-Watered Christian Podcast for my social media podcast show, which is At Home with Christ. And now I want to tell you about my latest TV show, which is going to be At Home with Christ TV. And you can reach that, and you can see all the episodes on Shrimp TV, on shrimp.com. So that you can go to this new platform, which is shrimp.com, and look for At Home with Christ TV under London. It is a fantastic show, and we hope